The Galactic Concordat station floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal flower. Its silver arms stretched out in all directions, holding meeting rooms and offices for diplomats from across the galaxy. Ambassador Elena Volkov stood at the window of her office watching the stars. She had been here for 15 years. 15 long years of talking, negotiating, and keeping peace between Earth and the Zintian Empire. Elena was not like most diplomats. Before she wore fancy robes and spoke soft words, she had been a soldier. A very good soldier. Her body still carried the scars from the First Contact War 30 years ago. Hidden under her skin were combat implants that made her stronger and faster than normal humans. But she never used them anymore. She had chosen a different path. She chose words over weapons. Humans were special in the galaxy, not because they were the smartest or the strongest. They were special because of where they came from. Earth was what other species called a death world. It was a Class 12 hazard planet. Most aliens came from safe worlds rated Class 3 or Class 4. Earth was different. Everything on Earth tried to kill you. The weather, the animals, the diseases. Humans survived by becoming tough. Very tough. The Zintians were different too. They looked like giant insects with hard shells and many legs. They controlled 40% of known space. Their empire was old and powerful. Their ships were everywhere. They had millions of soldiers and thousands of worlds. Compared to them, humanity was small. Earth controlled only 12 star systems. But the Zintians feared humans. Everyone did. 30 years ago, when humans first met aliens, there was a war. A terrible war. The Zintians thought humans would be easy to defeat. They were wrong. Humans fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They did not give up. They did not surrender. Even when they were losing, they kept fighting. The war ended with a peace treaty, but everyone remembered what humans could do. The peace treaty was Elena's life work. It said that humans could not expand to new worlds, but the 12 systems they had were theirs forever. No one could touch them. For 15 years, this treaty held. Elena made sure of it. She talked to angry admirals. She calmed down scared politicians. She smiled when she wanted to scream. All to keep the peace. Her assistant, Cathar, was her only real friend on the station. Cathar looked like a giant octopus with purple skin and many tentacles. He came from a peaceful world and hated violence. He helped Elena understand the complex politics of the galaxy. He told her which species were friends and which were enemies. He warned her when danger was coming. Today, danger was coming. Cathar rushed into her office, his tentacles waving in distress. His color had changed from purple to pale pink. That was never a good sign. "Ambassador, you need to see this," Cathar said, his voice shaking. He turned on the communication screen. Emperor Zixrath appeared on the screen. He was massive, even for a Zintian. His shell was decorated with gold and jewels. His many eyes glowed with arrogance. Behind him stood his generals and advisors, people of the galaxy. The Emperor said in his clicking voice, "I speak to you today about the human problem. For too long, humans have occupied valuable worlds. 3 of their colonies sit on planets rich in rare minerals the Empire needs. I am giving humanity one choice. Surrender the colonies of New Horizon, New Terra, and Proxima 5. You have 3 days to decide." Elena felt ice in her stomach. New Horizon. That was where her daughter lived. Maya had moved there 5 years ago with her husband and 2 children. Elena's grandchildren were on New Horizon. She forced herself to stay calm. Her face showed nothing. "This is outrageous," Cathar said. "The treaty clearly protects those worlds." "The Emperor does not care about the treaty," Elena said quietly. "He is testing us. He wants to see if humans will fight or surrender." She immediately called an emergency meeting with the Galactic Council. Ambassadors from 50 different species gathered. Some looked worried. Others looked pleased. The Zintians had bullied many of them before. They wanted to see what would happen. Elena spoke with a steady voice. "The Emperor's demand violates the treaty. It violates galactic law. We request time to negotiate. Surely we can find a peaceful solution." The council argued for hours. Some supported Elena. Most stayed silent. They were afraid of the Zintian Empire. In the end, they gave humanity the 3 days to decide. Nothing more. Elena went back to her office and immediately tried to contact Maya. The signal took time to reach New Horizon. When Maya's face appeared on screen, Elena felt relief. "Mom," Maya said with a smile. "I heard the news. Are we in danger?" "I will fix this," Elena promised. "I always do." Keep the children close. I will call you tomorrow. That night, Elena could not sleep. She worked on a response to the Emperor. She prepared arguments. She planned compromises. She did what diplomats do, but deep inside a small voice whispered that words might not be enough this time. The next morning, Elena woke to alarms. Red lights flashed everywhere. Cathar burst into her quarters, his color now bright red with panic. Ambassador! The Zenthians! They attacked New Horizon. Elena felt the world stop. What? But they gave us 3 days. The negotiations just started. They did not care, Cathar said, tears in his eyes. They attacked during active negotiations. It is against every law. The Colony Defense Force tried to fight, but they had no chance. The Zenthian fleet was too large. They bombarded the planet from orbit. Elena ran to the communication center. The screen showed horrible images. New Horizon was burning. Buildings destroyed. Cities in flames. The death count kept rising. 10,000 dead. 20,000. 30,000. It did not stop. The final number was 47,000 civilians. 47,000 people who were just living their lives. People with families. With children. With dreams. Elena searched the casualty lists with shaking hands. She found what she feared most. Maya Volkov. Her daughter's name. Her son-in-law. Her 2 grandchildren, all dead. All gone. Someone handed her a data chip. This came from New Horizon, Ambassador. It was your daughter's last transmission. Elena went to her quarters. She closed the door. She played the message. The video was broken and unclear, but she could see Maya. Her daughter was holding her children, trying to shield them. The sounds of explosions were everywhere. Fire lit the sky. Mom, Maya said, her voice scared but trying to be brave. If you get this, I want you to know I love you. Tell Dad I love him too. The children, they don't understand what's happening. I told them you would save us. That you always save everyone. But I think this time might be different. I'm sorry I won't see you again. I'm sorry the kids won't grow up. Tell Earth. Tell them to remember us. Tell them not to let this happen to anyone else. The transmission ended with a bright flash. That was the orbital strike that killed them. Elena sat in silence for a long time. Something inside her broke. Not her heart. Hearts could heal. This was deeper. This was the part of her that believed in peace and diplomacy and talking. That part died with her daughter. Slowly she stood. She took off her diplomatic robes and folded them carefully. Underneath she wore a simple black suit. She went to a secret compartment in her desk and pulled out her old military tags. Commander Elena Volkov. That was who she used to be. That was who she needed to be again. She activated her combat implants. She had not used them in 15 years. They hurt as they powered up. Pain shot through her body. But pain was good. Pain reminded her she was alive. Her daughter was not. Elena sat at her communication terminal. She sent a message to Earth on all military channels. Her voice was calm and cold. The voice of a soldier, not a diplomat. This is Commander Elena Volkov. The Zenthian Empire has broken the peace treaty. They attacked New Horizon during active negotiations. They killed 47,000 civilians in violation of every galactic law. My daughter and her family are among the dead. Ambassador Volkov is gone. She died trying to save people with words. Commander Volkov has returned. And the commander has a message for the Zenthians. You wanted to see what Deathworlders truly are. You are about to find out. For New Horizon, for every child you murdered. This is not war. This is justice. She ended the transmission and stood. Cathar was at the door watching her with sad eyes. Ambassador, what are you going to do? He asked quietly. Elena looked at him. Her eyes were different now. Colder. Harder. I am going to teach the Emperor a lesson he should have learned 30 years ago. You do not break faith with humanity. You do not murder our families. And you never ever touch our children. She walked out of the office, leaving her diplomatic credentials on the desk. The station security tried to stop her, but she moved too fast. Her military implants made her stronger than any of them expected. By the time they realized what was happening, she was already at the docking bay. Elena stole a fast diplomatic courier ship. It was small but had excellent engines. As she flew away from the Concordat station, she looked back one last time. 15 years of her life spent there. 15 years trying to be better than what she was, trying to prove that humans could be civilized, that they could be peaceful. The Zenthians had just proven that peace only works when both sides want it. The Emperor wanted war. He would get war, but not the kind he expected. Not armies facing armies, not fleets against fleets. This would be different. This would be personal. The message from Elena Volkov reached Earth in the middle of the night. Within minutes, every light in the government buildings turned on. Ministers and generals rushed from their homes. The Unified Earth Council held an emergency session. Prime Minister Chen stood before the cameras, his face serious and sad. "Citizens of Earth and all human colonies," he began. "Tonight we received terrible news. The Xinthian Empire has attacked New Horizon without warning. They did this during active peace negotiations. 47,000 of our people are dead. They killed civilians. They killed children. For 30 years we have been patient. We have been restrained. We have been civilized. The Xinthians mistook our diplomacy for weakness. They forgot what we are. They forgot where we come from. Tonight they will remember." He paused, letting his words sink in. "I am issuing a full mobilization order to all human worlds and military installations. The treaty is void. The peace is over. We did not start this war, but we will finish it. For New Horizon. For humanity." Across Earth and the human colonies, people woke to the news. Some cried. Some raged. All understood what was coming. The old soldiers pulled out their uniforms. The ships that carried cargo started installing weapons. Young people lined up at recruitment centers. Humanity was going to war again. At the Galactic Council, panic spread. The alien ambassadors sent urgent messages to their home worlds. They asked their intelligence services a simple question. How strong was humanity, really? The answers that came back shocked them. Humans had never demilitarized after the First Contact War. The treaty said they could not expand, but it said nothing about preparing for defense. Every human colony had hidden weapons platforms in orbit. Secret factories on asteroids built warships in the dark. The civilian transport fleet could transform into military carriers in just a few hours. Even the mining ships had weapon mounts hidden in their cargo bays. The most shocking revelation was about the human population itself. Earth had 8 billion people. That was small compared to most galactic powers, but 12% of all humans had military training. That was 1 billion trained soldiers. Most species had armies that were only 0.001% of their population. They could not imagine a society where 1 in 8 people knew how to fight. It made sense when you thought about Earth. On a death world, everyone learned to survive. Children were taught basic combat in school, just like math and reading. Adults trained in the reserves. Even grandparents remembered how to shoot. It was part of being human, part of surviving. While Earth mobilized, Elena was hunting. Her stolen ship traveled through unclaimed space, going to places most species avoided. She was looking for something very specific. The black operation station called Tartarus. Tartarus was not supposed to exist. Officially, humanity had disbanded all special forces after the war. Unofficially, the most dangerous soldiers just went underground. They became ghosts, shadows. They waited for the day they might be needed again. Elena knew the secret codes to find Tartarus. She had commanded these soldiers once long ago. She wondered if they would remember her, if they would follow her again. Cathar had insisted on coming with her. Elena tried to make him stay, but he refused. "You saved my life once, Ambassador," he said. "Now I will help save yours. Besides, I know Xinthian security protocols. You will need that knowledge." The station appeared suddenly, decloaking as they sent the right signals. It looked like an old asteroid mining facility. That was the point. It hid in plain sight. Elena docked the ship and walked inside. 4 people waited for her in the docking bay. Elena recognized them immediately, even though they were older now. Her old unit. The Reaper's Captain Jackson Torres stood at the front. Everyone called him Jack. He was shorter than Elena, but twice as wide, all muscle. His specialty was making things explode. He grinned when he saw her. Well. The diplomat returns. "I heard your speech, Commander." Gave me chills. Next to him was Dr. Yuki Tanaka. She looked delicate with her small frame and gentle smile. That was deceptive. Yuki was a combat medic with genetic modifications that made her reflexes twice as fast as normal humans. She could kill you and save your life with equal skill. She nodded to Elena. "It is good to see you again." "I'm sorry about Maya." Sergeant Marcus Webb loomed behind them. He was huge, over 2 meters tall. His arms were thick as tree trunks. He specialized in heavy weapons. If something needed to be shot, blown up, or smashed, Marcus was your man. He was also the most straightforward person Elena had ever met. Heard you killed the diplomatic approach, he said bluntly. About time. That was boring anyway. Lieutenant Arya Santos was the quietest of the group. Thin and dark-haired, she could blend into any crowd. Her skills were infiltration and cyber warfare. She could hack into any system, steal any data, and disappear before anyone knew she was there. She gave Elena a small smile. We thought you had gone soft, Commander. We were wrong. Elena looked at her old team. They were older, scarred, harder, but they were still the best. I need your help, she said simply. The Xinthians need to learn a lesson. A harsh one. I cannot do it alone, Jack laughed. Commander, we have been waiting for this call for 15 years. The official military will fight their fleet. We will do what we do best. Hit them where it hurts. Make them afraid. Show them why you do not mess with humans. They gathered around a holographic table. Elena explained her plan. It was simple but brutal. Humanity could not match the Xinthian Empire in numbers. They had thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, dozens of fortress worlds. A direct fight would take years and cost millions of lives. But humans did not fight fair. They fought smart. Asymmetric warfare, hit-and-run tactics, destroy supply lines, take out key targets, make the enemy scared to sleep at night. That was the human way. First target, Elena said, pointing to the hologram. The Xinthian fuel depot at Kepler 442. It is their main supply hub for this sector. Every military ship in the region refuels there. If we take it out, we cripple their fleet movements for weeks. Arya pulled up the station schematics. Heavy security. Automated defenses. At least 200 guards. This will not be easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy, Marcus said with a grin. That is what makes it fun. They spent the next 12 hours planning. Cathar provided crucial intelligence about Xinthian security systems. Arya figured out how to hack their networks. Jack calculated the exact amount of explosives needed. Yuki prepared medical kits and combat stimulants. Marcus just cleaned his weapons and smiled. The infiltration went better than expected. Arya got them past the security checkpoints using fake credentials. They posed as maintenance workers from a neutral species. The Xinthians barely looked at them. They were arrogant, confident. They did not expect an attack. Inside the fuel depot, Elena felt her anger grow. She saw cargo containers marked with New Horizon serial numbers. The Xinthians were already processing the stolen resources from the destroyed colony. They were profiting from murder. This just became personal, Jack whispered. He placed his explosives with extra care. He wanted this to be perfect. They set the charges throughout the station, not just on the fuel tanks. That would be too simple. Jack rigged it so the explosions would happen in sequence. The first blast would trigger the others. It would look like an accident at first. Then the main fuel reserves would go. Then the backup systems. Then the docked ships. It would be a chain reaction of destruction. But Jack added one more trick. He set a delayed trigger. The real explosion would not happen for another 6 hours, long enough for the next supply convoy to arrive. The convoy had 50 ships. When they docked for refueling, they would all be caught in the blast. The Reapers left the station quietly. They flew away in their stolen ship. 6 hours later, they watched from a safe distance as the fuel depot exploded. It was beautiful and terrible. The blast lit up space like a new sun. 50 ships, 200 guards, billions of credits in fuel and equipment, all gone in minutes. Elena recorded a message and broadcast it on all Xinthian military frequencies. She stood in front of the burning station, letting them see her face. I am Commander Elena Volkov of Earth. This is for New Horizon, for every human child you murdered. You stole resources from the dead. You profited from genocide. Now you pay the price. This is mercy compared to what comes next. Sleep well, Emperor. We are coming. The message spread across the galaxy faster than light. The other species watched in shock. The Xinthians were furious. Emperor Zixrath called an emergency council. One woman and a small team did this. He roared, "Find them! Kill them! I want their heads!" But finding the Reapers was impossible. They disappeared into the dark spaces between stars. They could be anywhere. That was the point. That was the fear. At the Galactic Concordat, the ambassadors held another emergency session. They demanded that humanity show restraint. They called for both sides to return to negotiations. The human representative, a stern woman named Ambassador Park, stood and spoke. You watch the Xinthians break the peace. You watched them commit genocide. You did nothing. You said nothing. Now you ask us for restraint? Where was your restraint when our children were dying? Where were your calls for peace when New Horizon burned? Your laws are just words on paper. Our justice is written in action. The Xinthian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near New Terra. 2,000 ships filled the space around the human colony. Admiral Kreshtar commanded the fleet from his massive flagship. He had destroyed New Horizon. That had been easy. This would be even easier, or so he thought. Scan for defenses, he ordered his crew. I want this over quickly. The Emperor is watching. The sensors showed something impossible. 200 human warships waited for them, not scattered or running away. They were in formation. Battle formation. Ready to fight. Admiral Kreshtar felt a moment of worry. Then he remembered the numbers. 2,000 ships against 200. 10-1 odds. The humans were brave but stupid. All ships advance. Destroy them all. On the human flagship, Admiral Sarah Okonkwo watched the Xinthian fleet approach. She had fought them before. She knew their tactics. They would try to surround the human ships, use their numbers to overwhelm. It was predictable, and predictable was exploitable. All ships prepare for rapid acceleration maneuvers, she commanded. Remember your training. Speed and precision beat numbers every time the battle began. The Xinthian ships moved forward in a massive wave. Their weapons fired, sending thousands of energy beams toward the human fleet. But the human ships were already moving, not away, toward the enemy. What the Xinthians did not know was that human ships were built differently. Most species in the galaxy built comfortable ships. Their crews could not handle more than 5 gravities of acceleration. It would hurt them, maybe kill them, so their ships were slow. Human ships regularly accelerated at 12 gravities. Human pilots trained their whole lives to handle it. Their bones were reinforced with ceramic. Their organs were held in place with special webbing. Their blood had extra oxygen carriers. They could handle forces that would crush most aliens. The human fleet split into 20 groups of 10 ships each. They moved like a knife through butter, fast, sharp, deadly. Each group targeted a section of the Xinthian formation. They fired railguns that shot metal slugs at incredible speeds. They launched nuclear torpedoes. They used kinetic kill vehicles, just chunks of metal going really fast. The Xinthian shields could stop energy weapons, but human weapons were mostly physical. Metal and explosives, old-fashioned but effective. The shields did almost nothing against them. Xinthian ships started exploding. 10, 20, 50, 100. The humans were not just fighting. They were hunting. Each group would destroy their targets, then immediately move to the next. No hesitation. No mercy. Admiral Kreshtar watched in growing horror. His 2,000 ships were dying. The humans were too fast. His gunners could not hit them. Every time they targeted a human ship, it was already somewhere else, moving at speeds that should be impossible. Focus fire. All ships target the flagship, he ordered desperately, but Admiral Okonkwo saw it coming. Her ship dodged and weaved through the attack. Then she did something unexpected. She broadcast audio on all frequencies, not her voice. The screams of the people dying on New Horizon, the last words of children, the sound of orbital bombardment. It was psychological warfare. The Xinthian crews heard the sounds of their own atrocity. Some felt guilt. Some felt fear. All of them understood that the humans were not going to show mercy. This was revenge. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 1,600 Xinthian ships were destroyed or disabled. 400 managed to escape into faster-than-light travel. They ran. The mighty Xinthian fleet ran from 200 human ships. Humanity lost 23 ships. Every single one of those losses hurt. But the trade was clear. Humanity had destroyed or crippled 2,000 enemy vessels while losing only 23 of their own. The mathematics of war had spoken. And it said that humans were very, very good at killing. The survivors who escaped told stories that terrified the Empire. They described how human ships moved like they had no fear of death, how the humans fought with a cold efficiency that was somehow worse than rage, how they seemed to enjoy the battle. One Xinthian commander sent a desperate message back to the Empire. They do not fight like civilized beings. They fight like they were born for it. They fight like predators playing with prey. Every hit they take, they just keep coming. They do not surrender. They do not retreat. They just kill and kill until nothing is left. How do you defeat an enemy that enjoys war? While the fleets fought openly, Elena and the Reapers were pursuing a different mission, a darker mission. They had intelligence about Emperor Zixrath. Cathar had provided crucial information. The Emperor was not just hiding in his capital. He was on Zinthax Prime, the fortress world, the most defended planet in the Empire. "This is insane," Jack said, looking at the planet's defenses on the hologram. "Orbital shields, millions of troops, anti-ship batteries everywhere. We cannot conquer this world." "We do not need to conquer it," Elena said quietly. "We just need to send a message. A personal message to the Emperor." Marcus grinned. "You want to kill him?" "I want him to understand what he did," Elena corrected. "I want him to look into my eyes and know that he brought this on himself." "Then yes, I want him dead." The plan was impossible. That was why it might work. Most species would never attempt to infiltrate Zinthax Prime. It was suicide. But humans from Earth had different ideas about what was impossible. They came from a world that tried to kill them every day. A heavily guarded planet was just another challenge. They used Cathar's knowledge of Zinthian protocols to create false identities. They would pose as diplomatic envoys from the Kralix Federation, a neutral species. The Zinthians would not be expecting an attack from diplomats. That was the advantage of being underestimated. Arya hacked into the Zinthian security networks and created perfect credentials. She even added fake meeting records showing months of correspondence. To any security check, they would appear completely legitimate. The hard part was the weapons. They could not bring guns through security. So Dr. Tanaka synthesized a special toxin. It was designed specifically for Zinthian biology. A tiny amount would be lethal to them but harmless to humans and most other species. They hid it in diplomatic gifts, sealed in containers that would not trigger scanners. They approached Zinthax Prime in a small diplomatic vessel. Elena felt strange. She was back in diplomatic robes again, playing the role of a peaceful ambassador. But underneath she wore her combat armor. Her implants were fully active. She was ready for war. The first checkpoints went smoothly. Arya's false identities worked perfectly. The security guards waved them through. They landed at the palace spaceport. Giant Zinthian soldiers escorted them inside. The palace was huge and impressive. Gold covered everything. Statues of past emperors lined the halls. It was meant to show power and wealth. To Elena, it showed arrogance. The emperor thought he was untouchable here. They were almost to the throne room when something went wrong. A security officer looked at Arya for too long. He checked his datapad twice. Then he pressed an alarm. "Intruders!" The officer shouted. "These are not real diplomats." The Reapers moved instantly. Jack threw a smoke grenade. Marcus pulled out weapons he had hidden in impossibly small spaces. Yuki injected herself with combat stimulants. Arya's hands flew over her hacking device, trying to lock the security doors. Elena shed her diplomatic robes. Underneath was her combat armor, black and deadly. Her implants flared to full power. She felt the pain as they overclocked her muscles and nerves. But pain was nothing. Pain was temporary. Justice was forever. The elite guards rushed them. These were not regular soldiers. These were the Emperor's personal bodyguards. Trained from birth. Enhanced with the best Zinthian technology. Each one was worth 10 normal fighters. But the Reapers were Deathworlders. And Deathworlders did not lose. Marcus held a narrow hallway alone. Guards poured toward him. He fired his heavy weapon nonstop. When he ran out of ammunition, he used it as a club. When that broke, he used his fists. He took 47 shots. His armor cracked. His bones broke. But he did not fall. Ceramic reinforcements and redundant organs kept him fighting. The guards could not believe what they were seeing. Nothing should survive that much damage. Yuki moved like liquid. Her enhanced reflexes made her seem faster than physics allowed. She dodged, stabbed, injected lethal drugs, and moved on. Guards fell around her like dominoes. Her combat medicine training meant she knew exactly where to cut to make death instant. Jack set charges as they ran. Every door they passed got a small explosive. Every junction got a bigger one. He was creating chaos. When they finally retreated, the whole palace would be a maze of fire and destruction. Arya ran ahead, her hacking device working overtime. She locked doors behind them and opened doors ahead. She crashed the palace security network. She sent false reports to the guards, making them chase ghosts. Elena led the way. She followed the palace map Cathar had provided. They fought through 3 layers of security. Each layer was supposed to be impossible to breach. The Reapers made it look easy, not because it was easy, but because they refused to fail. Finally, they reached the throne room doors. Massive doors made of reinforced metal, sealed from the inside. The Emperor was hiding behind them. "How much explosive do you have?" Elena asked Jack. He grinned through his bloody face. "Enough." The death of Emperor Zixrath sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For 300 years, the Xinthian Empire had seemed eternal and unbreakable. Now its ruler was dead, killed by a human woman in his own throne room. The impossible had happened, and impossibilities created opportunities. Within hours of the Emperor's death, 3 of his sons declared themselves the rightful heir. Prince Vectar controlled the military academies and training worlds. Prince Taxira held the economic centers and trade routes. Prince Reshkal commanded the outer colonies and resource worlds. None of them would accept the others as emperor. The empire split into 3. Fleets that should have been fighting humanity turned on each other. Admirals picked sides or tried to stay neutral. Governors declared independence. Species that had been conquered centuries ago saw their chance for freedom and took it. The galaxy watched in amazement as the mighty empire tore itself apart. Admiral Sarah Okonkwo watched the chaos from her flagship. A junior officer approached her with reports. "Admiral, the Xinthian fleets are fighting each other near their capital system. Should we attack them while they are weak?" Okonkwo smiled. "No. Why waste our ammunition when they are doing our job for us? This is what Sun Tzu taught us thousands of years ago. The supreme art of war is to defeat your enemy without fighting. Let them destroy each other. We will watch and wait." But humanity did more than watch. They helped the chaos grow. Arya and her cyber warfare specialist hacked into Xinthian communications. They sent false messages between the princes. They made Prince Vectar think Taxira was planning to assassinate him. They made Prince Reshkal believe the others had made secret deals. Every false message made the fighting worse. Human intelligence operatives spread rumors. They bribed officials. They leaked embarrassing secrets about the princes. They funded rebel groups on conquered worlds. They provided weapons to anyone fighting the Xinthians. It was subtle. It was effective. And most importantly, the Xinthians never realized humans were behind it. Across the galaxy, other species noticed what was happening. The Karathi Federation sent a secret delegation to Earth. The Karathi were peaceful traders who had suffered under Xinthian taxation for decades. Their ambassador was a small furry creature named Tilith. "Honorable humans," Tilith said in the meeting. "We have watched you fight the Empire with admiration. We request your protection. The Xinthians have taken much from us over the years. With your help, we could be free. We offer trade agreements, access to our space lanes, and our eternal friendship." Prime Minister Chen considered the request. "We will protect you. But we ask nothing in return except peace and fair trade. We did not fight the Empire to become the new Empire. We fought for justice." Tilith's eyes widened in surprise. Most powerful species demanded tribute. The humans asked only for fair treatment. Word of this spread quickly. Within weeks, 12 more species requested human protection. They were all former Xinthian subjects tired of being bullied. The Galactic Concordat held emergency session after emergency session. Some ambassadors wanted to sanction humanity for killing the Emperor. Others secretly celebrated. The debate was fierce. Ambassador Park represented Earth at these meetings. She was tough and direct. When a Xinthian representative accused humanity of terrorism, she stood and responded. "Terrorism? You murdered 47,000 civilians during peace negotiations. You committed genocide. Commander Volkov executed 1 war criminal. If you cannot see the difference, then you deserve what is happening to your empire. We showed restraint for 30 years. We tried peace. You destroyed it. Now face the consequences." Meanwhile, Elena and the Reapers were back at Tartarus Station. They were exhausted. Marcus had 17 broken bones. Yuki had used so many stimulants her body needed weeks to recover. Jack had burns across half his body. Arya had not slept in 3 days. Elena herself looked 10 years older than when this started. They gathered in the common room. The news screens showed the Xinthian Empire burning, cities in revolt, fleets destroying each other. "Chaos everywhere, we won," Jack said quietly. "The Empire is finished. We destroyed them." Elena stared at the screens. She should feel victorious. She should feel satisfied. Instead, she felt empty, hollow. "Did we? We killed thousands. Started a civil war that will kill millions more. I became the monster I spent 15 years trying not to be." Dr. Tanaka sat down next to her. You did what was necessary. The Xinthians would have destroyed more colonies, killed more children. You stopped them. Do not confuse necessity with monstrosity. She is right, Cathar added. His tentacles waved slowly, showing sadness. I hate violence. You know this. But what happened to New Horizon was worse than violence. It was cruelty. Pure cruelty. You answered with justice. Harsh justice, but justice nonetheless. Elena looked at her old team. They were killers. But they were her killers. Her friends. They had followed her into hell and back. What do we do now? The fighting is not over. The princes are still out there. Back on Earth, the government was having the same debate. Prime Minister Chen met with his military advisors and political leaders. The room was divided. General Zhang, head of the military, argued for expansion. The Xinthian territory is there for the taking. We could double our space, triple it, secure resources for centuries. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Minister Liu, head of diplomatic relations, disagreed strongly. If we conquer Xinthian territory, we become what we fought against. We become oppressors. The galaxy will fear us even more than they feared the Empire. We must prove we are better. Prime Minister Chen listened to both arguments. Finally, Admiral Okonkwo spoke. She had been quiet until now. There is a third option, she said. We do not conquer. We do not ignore. We liberate. We destroy the Xinthian military capacity completely. Every shipyard, every fortress, every weapons facility. But we do not occupy their worlds. We let the people there choose their own future. We prove that Deathworlders can be merciful. The room was silent. Then slowly people nodded. It was brilliant. It showed strength without cruelty, power without oppression. Prime Minister Chen made the decision. Operation Glasshammer. We will shatter their ability to wage war, but we will not become conquerors. Admiral, you have full authorization. Operation Glasshammer began 72 hours later. 600 human warships struck 47 systems simultaneously. Every major Xinthian military installation was targeted. Shipyards that built war vessels, fortress worlds that trained soldiers, weapons factories that produced guns and bombs. All of them were destroyed. But Admiral Okonkwo made one thing very clear to all commanders. No civilian targets, not one. We are not the Empire. Every shot must be precise. Every target must be military. If you are unsure, do not fire. We will prove that humans can wage war without becoming war criminals. The operation was a masterpiece of military coordination. Human ships appeared, destroyed their targets with surgical precision and left. No orbital bombardments of cities, no attacks on civilian infrastructure, pure military targeting. The Xinthians could not fight back. Their fleets were too busy fighting each other. Their defenses were overwhelmed. In 72 hours, humanity destroyed the Xinthian Empire's ability to wage large-scale war. They did it without killing a single civilian. The galaxy watched in shock. This was power used with restraint. This was the Deathworld way. Strong enough to destroy, disciplined enough not to. But 2 of the 3 princes did not accept defeat. Prince Vector remained defiant. He had lost his shipyards, but he still had hundreds of ships. He issued a new order. His fleets would attack human medical ships, non-military targets. He thought this would force humanity to negotiate. He was wrong. Attacking medical ships was a war crime under galactic law. Even the other princes condemned it. But Vector did not care. He was desperate and angry. He wanted revenge. When Elena heard about the attacks on medical ships, she felt her fury return. She thought she was done, that she could rest. But this prince had crossed a line even his father had not crossed. One more mission, she told the Reapers. One last hunt. Then we can truly rest. They tracked Prince Vector to his flagship, the Dominion. It was a massive ship, heavily armed and armored. He thought he was safe there. He thought no one would dare attack a ship that size. The human fleet found the Dominion in deep space. Admiral Okonkwo led the attack personally. 30 human ships against 1 super battleship. The fight was brutal. The Dominion had powerful weapons and thick armor. It destroyed 2 human ships, damaged 5 more, but humanity kept coming. Finally, the Dominion's engines were crippled. Its weapons systems were offline. It was helpless. Admiral Okonkwo could have destroyed it completely. Instead, she sent a message to Elena. Commander Volkov, the ship is disabled. Prince Vector is aboard. Do you want to finish this personally? Elena and the Reapers boarded the Dominion. They fought through the remaining guards. The ship was dark and full of smoke, dying, like the empire it represented. Prince Vector waited for them in the command center. He was younger than his father, but just as arrogant. He wore golden armor and held a ceremonial sword. Around him stood his last guards, loyal to the end. So the human assassin comes for me too. The negotiation station floated in orbit of New Horizon. Below it, the planet was slowly healing. The burned cities were being rebuilt. The dead were buried, but the scars remained. They would always remain. Elena stood at the window looking down at the world where her daughter had died. She wore her diplomatic robes again. They felt strange now, like wearing a costume. But this meeting required formality. It required symbols. And Elena herself was the greatest symbol of all, the diplomat who became a warrior and was becoming a diplomat again. Prince Takzira arrived in a small unarmed ship. This itself was a statement. He came without weapons, without guards, trusting humanity not to simply kill him. It was brave, or perhaps it was wise. Elena was not sure which. When Takzira entered the negotiation chamber, Elena saw he was different from his father and brothers. He was smaller, quieter. His shell was not decorated with gold and jewels. He wore simple armor. His many eyes showed something his father never had: sadness, regret. "Ambassador Volkov," he said through a translator. His voice was clicking and strange, but the tone was respectful. "I know words cannot undo what my father did, what my people did. But I must try. I am deeply sorry for New Horizon, for every life lost, for the pain we caused." Elena studied him carefully. Was this genuine? Or just strategy? She had learned not to trust easily. "Your apology is noted. But we are not here for apologies. We are here to ensure this never happens again, to any species, ever." They sat at the negotiation table. Ambassadors from 50 species watched remotely. The entire galaxy wanted to see what would happen here. Would humanity show mercy or demand blood? The terms were harsh but fair. The Zynthian Empire would be reduced to 15 core systems, down from the hundreds they once controlled. Complete military demilitarization for 50 years. Their fleet would be limited to defense vessels only. War crimes trials for all commanders involved in the New Horizon massacre. And reparations. Massive reparations to be paid over decades. Prince Takzira accepted every term without argument. He signed documents that made his people weak. That took away their power. He did it because the alternative was extinction. He knew that if he refused, humanity would simply destroy what remained of the empire. But Elena added one more provision. This one surprised everyone: cultural exchange programs. Young Zynthians will study on Earth in human colonies. Young humans will study on Zynthian worlds. You need to understand us. We need to understand you. Fear and ignorance created this war. Knowledge will prevent the next one. Takzira looked surprised. Then slowly he nodded. "You are wise, Ambassador. My father saw you as prey. My brothers saw you as enemies. I see you as teachers. We have much to learn from humanity. About strength. About restraint. About mercy." The treaty was signed. The Treaty of New Horizon. It would be remembered as the moment when the galaxy changed, when a Deathworld species proved they could be both the strongest and the most merciful. But the work was not done. The Galactic Concordat established a war crimes tribunal. 47 Zynthian admirals and generals stood trial for the New Horizon massacre. Prince Vector was among them. He remained defiant even in chains. Elena testified at the trial. She spoke about her daughter, about the children who died, about the families destroyed. Some in the audience cried. Others looked away in shame. But Elena did not cry. She had no more tears left. "I want justice," she told the judges. "Not vengeance. There is a difference. Vengeance would be destroying every Zynthian world. Justice is holding these individuals responsible for their actions. Punish them, but do not punish their entire species for the crimes of their leaders." The sentences were life imprisonment on a neutral world, not execution. Many humans were angry about this. They wanted blood. They wanted the criminals to die. But Elena argued that executing them would make them martyrs. Let them live long lives in prison, thinking about what they did wrong. Prince Vector was the last to be sentenced. He stood before the judges, still arrogant. "You humans think you won, but you just proved you are weak. You had the power to destroy us completely. You did not. That is weakness, Elena stood and faced him. No, that is strength. True strength is knowing when to stop. Any fool can destroy. It takes wisdom to build. You will spend the rest of your life in prison, understanding that difference. I hope you live a very long time. Reconstruction of New Horizon began in earnest. Humans and former Xinthian subjects worked together. The Karathi Federation sent engineers. The Palish Collective sent medical aid. Dozens of species contributed. They wanted to show support for humanity, to show that the galaxy had learned from this tragedy. A memorial was built for the 47,000 dead. It was a wall of names carved in black stone. Each name had a star next to it. 47,000 stars for 47,000 lives. Elena visited it often. She found Maya's name on the wall. Her finger traced the letters slowly. Cathar stood beside her, his tentacles still and respectful. Your daughter would be proud of you, Cathar said quietly. Elena shook her head. Would she? I killed thousands for her. I became the thing I fought against. No, Cathar said firmly. You saved millions from the same fate. You stopped an empire from continuing its cruelty. That is the burden of leadership. Sometimes you must do terrible things to prevent worse things. Maya would understand. Construction began on New Horizon 2. The new colony would be built in the same system. A statement that humanity would not be driven away. That they would rebuild. That they would endure. Workers from 20 species volunteered to help. Former Xinthian subjects worked alongside humans. It was symbolic and powerful. The Reapers met one final time in a bar on Tartarus Station. They had been offered positions in the new Galactic Peacekeeping Force. The Concordat wanted experienced warriors to help keep the peace across the galaxy. They would work together, but in different roles. Jack raised his glass. Well, team, I guess we are going legitimate. Marcus laughed. About time. I was getting tired of all the sneaking around. I prefer fights where everyone knows I am coming. Yuki smiled. We will still be together, just doing different work, saving lives instead of taking them. I think I prefer it. Arya nodded. The galaxy needs peace. Real peace. Not just the absence of war. We can help build that. Elena looked at her old team. They had been through hell together. They had done terrible things for good reasons. You are always legitimate. Just unorthodox. Thank you for everything. I could not have done this without you. They drank together one last time. Tomorrow they would go their separate ways. But tonight they were still the Reapers, still the most dangerous team in the galaxy, still friends. The galaxy changed in the years that followed. Other species viewed humans with a mixture of respect and fear. The term Deathworlder took on new meaning. Not just survivors, but those who adapt and overcome any challenge. Those who are strong enough to destroy but wise enough to build. 3 species requested human military advisors to help reform their defense forces. They wanted to learn the human way of war, not to conquer, but to defend. Humanity sent teachers carefully. They taught discipline. They taught strategy. They taught that strength must be balanced with restraint. Humanity's role in the galaxy changed forever. They went from newcomers to power brokers, from outsiders to leaders. It was not a position they wanted, but it was a position they accepted. With great power came great responsibility. That was an old lesson from Earth. Now it applied to the stars. Prime Minister Chen gave a speech that was broadcast to all human worlds. We did not want this role. We did not seek this power. But we will use it wisely. We will be the shield for the weak, the sword against tyrants, the voice for the voiceless. This is our duty. This is our burden. This is the Deathworld way. Elena was offered the position of Secretary General of the Galactic Concordat, the highest diplomatic position in the galaxy. At first she refused. I am too broken for this, she told the selection committee. I am a warrior pretending to be a diplomat. Or a diplomat who became a warrior. I do not even know anymore. Surprisingly, Prince Takzira convinced her to accept. He sent her a personal message. You understand both war and peace. You know when to fight and when to negotiate. You know the cost of violence and the value of restraint. The galaxy needs that wisdom. We need someone who has walked both paths. Elena accepted on one condition. A permanent human rapid response fleet would remain ready at all times. We tried peace through weakness. It failed. We tried peace through strength. That worked. But now we try peace through preparedness. The galaxy will know that humanity is ready to defend the innocent. Always. 5 years passed. The galaxy was more peaceful than it had been in centuries. The former Xinthian territory was divided among many species, each one grateful for their freedom, each one remembering who gave it to them. Human colonies expanded to 35 systems, but carefully, with local approval, with treaties and agreements, not through conquest. The human military remained strong but was used only for defense and peacekeeping. The fleet that had destroyed the Xinthian Empire now protected trade routes and stopped pirates. The cultural exchange programs showed surprising results. Young Xinthians studying on Earth learned about human history, about how humans survived impossible odds. They learned respect,